Everyone thought he was just another street bum, but his posture gave away exactly who he really was. The glass towers of downtown Seattle cast long shadows across 3rd Avenue as the morning rush hour began to thin. Office workers hurried past with their coffee cups and smartphones, most avoiding eye contact with the homeless man who sat quietly on the concrete steps of the Meridian Financial Building. To the passing crowd, he was invisible, just another casualty of urban life, wrapped in a tattered military surplus jacket that had seen better days. His beard was unkempt, his jeans were worn through at the knees, and the cardboard sign beside him read simply, "Veteran. Anything helps. God bless." But Marcus Rodriguez, the building's head of security, noticed something different. Marcus had been working security for Meridian Financial for 8 years, and in that time, he'd seen hundreds of homeless individuals pass through the area. Some were mentally ill, others were addicts, and many were simply people who'd fallen on hard times. Marcus treated them all with respect, offering a bottle of water when he could, directing them to social services when they asked, and generally maintaining the delicate balance between building security and human compassion. This man was different, though Marcus couldn't quite put his finger on why. It started with his posture. Even sitting on concrete steps, the man held himself with an unmistakable military bearing, spine straight, shoulders squared, head up and alert. When people walked by, his eyes tracked their movement with the systematic scanning pattern of someone trained in situational awareness. Marcus, a former Army MP himself, recognized the sign. "Morning," Marcus said as he approached the man during his routine patrol. The homeless man looked up, and Marcus was struck by the clarity in his eyes. Despite the rough exterior, there was an intelligence there, a sharpness that spoke of someone who was present and aware, not lost in the fog of substance abuse or mental illness. "Morning, sir," the man replied, his voice clear and respectful. "How long you been out here?" Marcus asked, genuinely curious. "Few months," the man said. "Hope I'm not causing any trouble. I keep things clean, don't bother anyone." Marcus noticed the way he spoke. Proper grammar, no slurring, the kind of speech patterns that came from education and discipline. "What's your name?" "William," the man said. "William Hayes." "Served?" Marcus asked, nodding at the military jacket. William hesitated for just a moment. "Yeah, long time ago." "What branch?" Another pause. "Army, you?" "Military police. 3 tours," Marcus said. "Iraq and Afghanistan." William nodded slowly. "Thank you for your service." Marcus was about to respond when his radio crackled with a call from building management. "Rodriguez, we need you upstairs. Situation in the executive conference room." "Copy that," Marcus replied, then looked back at William. "You take care of yourself, man. There's a veterans center about 6 blocks north if you need resources." "Appreciate it," William said. As Marcus walked away, he couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to William Hayes than met the eye. Something about the man's bearing, his speech patterns, the way he held himself, it all suggested someone with significant military training, not just a regular enlisted soldier. Over the next few days, Marcus found himself paying more attention to William during his patrols. The homeless veteran was always in the same spot, always clean despite his circumstances, always polite to anyone who acknowledged him. But Marcus began to notice other details that set off his trained instincts. William's movements were economical and precise. When he stood up, it was with the fluid motion of someone whose body was still in excellent condition despite his apparent age of around 50. When he organized his few possessions, everything had a place and purpose. And most tellingly, when he thought no one was watching, William would sometimes stand and pace, his gait displaying the unmistakable precision of someone who'd spent years in military formation. On Thursday morning, Marcus's curiosity got the better of him. During his break, he approached William with 2 cups of coffee from the building's cafe. "Thought you might want something hot," Marcus said, offering one of the cups. William accepted it gratefully. "That's very kind. Thank you." They sat in comfortable silence for a few minutes, watching the city wake up around them. Finally, Marcus spoke. "Can I ask you something, William? And feel free to tell me it's none of my business." "Go ahead." "You carry yourself like an officer, not just regular Army, someone with serious training. What did you really do in the service?" William stared into his coffee for a long moment. When he looked up, Marcus saw something in his eyes that made him sit up straighter. Some things are better left buried, William said quietly. Fair enough, Marcus replied. But if you ever need anything, and I mean anything, you let me know. The opportunity to learn more about William Hayes came sooner than Marcus expected, but not in the way he'd hoped. Friday afternoon, Marcus was in the building's security office reviewing camera footage when his radio erupted with multiple emergency calls. A domestic dispute in the apartment building across the street had escalated into a hostage situation. 3 armed men had barricaded themselves in a 4th-floor unit with a mother and her 2 young children. Marcus could see the scene unfolding from his office window. Police cars surrounded the building, SWAT vehicles were arriving, and evacuations were underway. The media was already setting up across the street, turning the crisis into a public spectacle. That's when Marcus noticed William. The homeless veteran was standing at the edge of the police perimeter, not gawking like the other bystanders, but observing with the focused intensity of someone analyzing a tactical situation. His posture had changed completely. Gone was the slumped bearing of a down-on-his-luck vagrant. In its place stood someone who looked every inch a military professional. Marcus watched through binoculars as William approached one of the police officers. Even from a distance, Marcus could see the officer's body language change as William spoke. The cop called over his supervisor, who called over someone else. Within minutes, William was being escorted to the command vehicle. Marcus's radio crackled with police scanner traffic, and he listened in growing amazement as the situation developed. Civilian consultant on scene with extensive hostage negotiation experience. Former military, cleared for tactical advisory. Requesting permission to make contact with subjects. Marcus grabbed his binoculars and focused on the command post. William Hayes, the homeless man he'd been bringing coffee to all week, was now wearing a police tactical vest and speaking intently with the SWAT command. His entire demeanor had transformed. This was clearly someone who belonged in command situations. The siege lasted 4 hours. Marcus watched from his office as William coordinated with negotiators, analyzed building schematics, and provided tactical recommendations to the SWAT team. When the final assault came, it was executed with surgical precision. All 3 hostage-takers neutralized, the family rescued unharmed. As the emergency vehicles began to clear, Marcus saw William quietly remove the tactical vest and hand it back to the police officers. He shook hands with the SWAT commander, exchanged a few words, then walked back toward his spot on the steps as if nothing had happened. Marcus was waiting for him. That was something, Marcus said as William approached. William looked up at him, and for the first time, Marcus saw the full weight of whatever the man was carrying. Just helped out a little. William, Marcus said carefully, I've been military police for 15 years. I've worked with SWAT, FBI, everyone. What I just watched wasn't someone who helped out a little. That was someone running a tactical operation. William sat heavily on the steps, suddenly looking every one of his years. Sometimes the past doesn't let you go, even when you want it to. Marcus sat beside him. Want to talk about it? For a long moment, William was quiet. Then, quietly, Delta Force. 22 years, retired as a colonel, specialized in hostage rescue and counterterrorism. Marcus felt his jaw drop. Delta Force was the Army's most elite special operations unit. Colonels in Delta didn't just happen. They were the best of the best, soldiers who'd proven themselves in the most dangerous missions the military had to offer. Jesus, Marcus breathed. What are you doing out here? William's laugh was bitter. Turns out that 22 years of classified missions doesn't translate well to civilian job skills. You know what they tell a Delta Force colonel when he retires? Good luck explaining what you did for 2 decades without violating the Espionage Act. But surely there are programs, veteran services. There are, William agreed, for regular soldiers. But when your entire career is classified, when you can't discuss your experience or provide references, when potential employers can't verify anything you've done, well, it becomes complicated. Marcus was quiet, processing this revelation. Your family. Divorced 10 years ago. The job. It takes everything. Sarah tried to understand. But how do you explain to your wife why you disappear for months at a time, to places you can't name, to do things you can't talk about? William's voice carried the weight of old pain. My kids barely know me. To them, I'm just the father who was never there. So you ended up here. I ended up here. Pension covers the basics, but finding work when you're overqualified for everything and can't explain your qualifications for anything, it's harder than you'd think. Marcus shook his head. This is insane. You just helped save 3 lives and you're sleeping on the street? I'm not sleeping on the street, William said. I've got a room at the YMCA. This, he gestured to his setup on the steps, this is just where I come during the day. Helps with the isolation. The isolation? William looked out at the busy street. 22 years of being surrounded by the best soldiers in the world, always part of a team, always having a mission. Civilian life is quiet. Sometimes I sit here just to be around people, even if they don't see me. Marcus felt something twist in his chest. Here was a genuine American hero, a man who devoted his life to protecting others, reduced to invisible homelessness because his service was too classified to be acknowledged. That changes today, Marcus said firmly. What do you mean? Marcus pulled out his phone. I mean, I'm making some calls. You helped save 3 lives today, and that's going on the record. I don't care how classified your background is. The city owes you a debt, and it's time to collect. William shook his head. Marcus, I appreciate the thought, but no buts. You've been hiding in plain sight for months, but what happened today showed everyone who you really are. They can't ignore you anymore. Marcus was right. By evening, the local news was running the story. Homeless veteran helps end hostage crisis. The footage showed William in the tactical vest, clearly in a position of authority among the police. The reporter noted that the veteran had extensive specialized training and had been instrumental in the successful resolution. The story went viral. By the next morning, Marcus arrived at work to find William surrounded by people, reporters, veteran advocacy groups, city officials, and a man in an expensive suit who introduced himself as a private security contractor. Colonel Hayes, the contractor was saying as Marcus approached, my company provides executive protection and tactical consulting for Fortune 500 companies. Your reputation precedes you, sir. We've been looking for someone with your exact qualifications. William looked overwhelmed by the attention. When he spotted Marcus, there was relief in his eyes. Marcus, he said, this is getting a bit crazy. Good crazy or bad crazy? Marcus asked. I'm not sure yet. The contractor handed William a business card. Colonel, we're prepared to offer you a position as Director of Strategic Operations, 6-figure salary, full benefits, company housing while you get established. We have government contracts that require exactly your level of clearance and experience. Marcus watched William stare at the card. What do you think? William looked around at the crowd of people who just yesterday would have stepped over him without a second glance. I think, he said slowly, that sometimes the mission finds you, even when you're not looking for it. 3 months later, Marcus was finishing his evening patrol when he noticed a familiar figure approaching the building. William Hayes walked up the steps with the confident stride of someone who belonged there, wearing a tailored suit and carrying a briefcase. Evening, Marcus, William said with a genuine smile. Look at you, Marcus grinned. How's the new job? It's good, really good. Turns out there's a lot of demand for someone who can assess security vulnerabilities and develop protection protocols. And the best part? I can finally talk about what I do. That must be a relief. You have no idea. William paused. Listen, I wanted to thank you. For what? For seeing me when everyone else was looking through me. For treating me like a person when I'd forgotten how to be one. Marcus shook his head. You were always that person, William. You just needed someone to remind you. William reached into his briefcase and pulled out an envelope. My company is establishing a foundation for homeless veterans, specifically for those with specialized training who fall through the cracks of traditional support systems. We'd like you to be on the board. Marcus opened the envelope and saw the official letterhead and William's signature as Executive Director. The William Hayes Foundation for Invisible Warriors, Marcus read aloud. Because heroes shouldn't have to hide in plain sight, William said. As they shook hands, Marcus thought about all the times he'd walked past homeless individuals without really seeing them. How many stories were sitting on street corners, invisible to a world that had learned not to look. You know what I learned from all this? Marcus said. What's that? That sometimes the most dangerous person in any room is the one everyone ignores. William smiled. Colonels don't retire, Marcus. We just change uniforms.